The JonBenet Ramsey case, a Christmas mystery that America can't forget. Boulder, Colorado. Christmas night, 1996. Snow rested quietly over the rooftops of the wealthy University Hill neighborhood. Inside one of the homes, the Ramsey family had celebrated the holiday, exchanging gifts, sharing laughter, and winding down after a festive day. John and Patsy Ramsey seemed to have everything. John was a successful businessman, president of a computer firm. Patsy, a former beauty queen, was known for her charm and devotion to her two children, 9-year-old Burke and 6-year-old JonBenet, an energetic, outgoing little girl who loved to perform in child beauty pageants. By all accounts, it had been an ordinary Christmas evening, but by the next morning, that illusion of normalcy would be shattered forever. The discovery. On the morning of December 26, 1996, Patsy Ramsey descended the staircase around 5:30 a.m., intending to start breakfast for her family. Instead, she discovered a 2.5-page handwritten ransom note sitting on the back staircase leading to the kitchen. The note demanded $118,000, an oddly specific amount, almost identical to John Ramsey's recent Christmas bonus. It warned that their daughter had been kidnapped and instructed the Ramseys not to contact police. Despite the note's instructions, Patsy immediately called 911. Her voice trembled with panic, reporting that her 6-year-old daughter was missing. Within minutes, Boulder police and friends of the Ramseys began arriving at the house. Officers conducted a brief search of the premises but found no sign of forced entry and no clear trace of JonBenet. Hours passed. The house filled with people, friends, pastors, and investigators, moving through the rooms, inadvertently disturbing potential evidence. Then, shortly after 1 p.m., an officer asked John Ramsey to search the house again, starting from top to bottom. When John reached the basement, he opened a small utility room. There, behind a door that had previously gone unnoticed, he found the lifeless body of his daughter. JonBenet was covered with a white blanket. A cord was around her neck and wrists, and duct tape covered her mouth. John carried her upstairs, shouting for help. For investigators, any hope of preserving the crime scene had vanished. The home was now contaminated. Crucial evidence lost in the chaos and grief of that moment. The investigation. From the very beginning, the case unfolded under intense pressure and public scrutiny. Police were faced with conflicting possibilities. Was this the work of an intruder, as the ransom note implied? Or was the crime committed by someone inside the home? The ransom note itself was peculiar. It was unusually long for a real kidnapping demand, filled with dramatic phrasing and movie-style language. Later analysis determined it had been written on paper from a pad found in the Ramsey house. Investigators questioned the Ramseys extensively, but their cooperation soon became strained. The family hired lawyers, citing concern over how police were handling the investigation. Media coverage exploded. The story of a murdered 6-year-old beauty pageant contestant spread worldwide. Images of JonBenet in pageant costumes, smiling under bright stage lights, dominated headlines and TV screens. As the case grew more public, the relationship between the Ramseys and the Boulder Police Department deteriorated further. Detectives believed the evidence pointed toward the family. The Ramseys insisted they were innocent and accused the authorities of tunnel vision. Conflicting theories. Forensic evidence offered limited clarity. DNA was found on JonBenet's clothing, but testing in the 1990s was far less advanced than it is today. The samples were small and potentially contaminated. There were no clear signs of break-in. The basement window appeared to have been tampered with previously, but cobwebs and dust suggested it hadn't been recently disturbed. Attention soon turned to the family. Some investigators theorized that JonBenet's death might have been an accident, possibly following a moment of anger or discipline, and that the ransom note was written afterward to stage a kidnapping. Others, however, pointed to signs that suggested an outside intruder. A mysterious footprint near the window, an unidentified DNA sample, and reports of a neighbor hearing a scream that night. Over time, several individuals became subjects of speculation. Neighbors, acquaintances, even drifters passing through Boulder, but none were ever charged. Media firestorm. As weeks turned into months, the case transformed into a national obsession. Talk shows, tabloids, and nightly news programs speculated endlessly about the Ramseys' guilt or innocence. Patsy and John appeared on television, maintaining their innocence and pleading for the public's help. In a now-famous interview, Patsy looked directly into the camera and said, "There's a killer out there." The Boulder District Attorney's Office eventually convened a grand jury in 1999 to review the evidence. The grand jury voted to indict both John and Patsy on charges of child abuse resulting in death, but the district attorney declined to sign the indictment, citing insufficient evidence. For years, the case lingered in limbo. No arrests, no closure. In 2003, new DNA testing was conducted using more advanced technology. The results indicated that the DNA found on JonBenét's clothing did not match anyone in the Ramsey family. This finding led prosecutors to publicly clear the Ramseys of involvement in 2008, but skepticism persisted. Many investigators, including some who originally worked the case, questioned the accuracy and handling of the DNA evidence. Unanswered questions. Patsy Ramsey passed away from ovarian cancer in 2006, never knowing who killed her daughter. John Ramsey later remarried and has continued to speak publicly, urging authorities to reopen the investigation whenever new technology becomes available. JonBenét's brother, Burke, who was 9 years old at the time, has largely stayed out of the public eye, though he has occasionally spoken out to defend his family's innocence. Despite countless theories, intruder, family member, botched kidnapping, the truth remains elusive. Every piece of evidence seems to contradict another. There are those who believe the answer lies in a ransom note, a strange, theatrical document that may hold hidden meaning or psychological clues. Others focus on the DNA evidence, hoping that future testing could one day identify a match. More than 2 decades have passed since that tragic Christmas morning, yet the JonBenet Ramsey case still haunts the collective memory of America. Reflection. It is a story of family torn apart by tragedy, a police investigation hindered by mistakes, and a community and a country desperate for answers that never came. JonBenét's death changed how people viewed safety in suburban America. It fueled conversations about media ethics, forensic science, and the devastating impact of public judgment before justice. And still, one question echoes through the years. Who killed JonBenet Ramsey? Perhaps the truth is buried somewhere in the evidence, waiting for new eyes, new tools, or new courage to uncover it. Until that day comes, her story remains frozen in time, a mystery wrapped in heartbreak, on the quiet snowfall of Boulder, Colorado.